There are some stories that begin where large ends. The evidence doesn't add up, clues lead not to answers but to darker questions. The date is February 24, 1978. The location is Northern California. 5 young men were returning home from a basketball game on an ordinary Friday evening. Their path was clear, their mood was good, but that night, instead of going home, they veered off the map into an uncharted nightmare. This event is often referred to as the American Dyatlov Pass. Because just like that mysterious incident in the rural mountains, there's inexplicable behavior, a strangely abandoned vehicle, and a mind-boggling ending in the freezing cold. This is not just a story of disappearance. It's about the limits of sanity, the nature of fear, and having everything it takes to survive. An examination of the tragedy of freezing to death. Welcome to the story of the Yuba County Five. To understand this tragedy, we must first know them. We were these 5 men. They were called kids, even though their ages ranged from 24 to 32. They were harmless people, devoted to their families and well employed. The dynamic of the group was important. They were harmless people, devoted to their families and well employed. The dynamic of the group was important. Jack Madruga was in love with his 1969 turquoise and white Mercury Montego. He was so metallous about his car that he would never drive on an unfamiliar, bumpy road. This detail will be very important in the future. And Gary Mathias, the most complex member of the group. He was a former soldier and diagnosed with schizophrenia. As long as he took his medication, he was fine. But when he went without, he could lose touch with reality. He hadn't taken his medication with him that night. Everything was perfect that Friday night. They watched UC Davis play in Chico and their team won. They were so happy. They seemed to have no problems in their lives. The shop assistant would later say it was around 10 p.m. This is where luck ends. Yuba Steve was to the south, a straight, wide highway. But Jack Madruga, that metallish driver, inexplicably turned the car northeast. The dark, snowy, and dangerous mountain roads of Plumas National Forest. Why? Trying to cut corners? Gary Mathias messing up the road? Or were they running away from something? There was no logical reason for them to go down this path. The families panicked when they didn't show up for their big game next day. The police stepped in, and 4 days later, on February 28th, a forest ranger found the car. The car was stuck in the snow on the Oroville-Quincy Road. But the crime scene was very strange. The engine was running. There was gas. There wasn't a single scratch on the bottom of the car. How did Madruga drive that car so perfectly in the dark on such a difficult road? Even stranger, 5 healthy men could have easily pushed that car out of the snow. But they hadn't even tried. One of the windows was open. The food wrappers they had bought at the supermarket were on the floor, but there was no food. They had abandoned the car, but where? There was only one witness to that night, Joseph Skuns. He too had gotten stuck in the snow on the same road and was trapped in his car. His expression was blood-curdling. He saw a car coming up behind him in the middle of the night and a group of people getting out of it. When Skuns shouted for help, the group suddenly turned off the lights and went silent. Skuns claimed to have heard a woman's voice and a baby crying, possibly the sound of the wind or a hallucination brought on by fear. But the last thing he saw was clear. The group turned off the car lights and walked deeper into the woods, into the darkness. The search continued for days, but the winter conditions were very harsh. The blizzard blanketed the area and families waited with hope for months. The truth would only come out in June, when the snow melted. It was shocking where they were found, 31 kilometers uphill from the car. 31 kilometers on foot in the snow. This is an incredible effort even for a healthy person. They found an abandoned trailer belonging to the Forest Service. And there lay the terrible truth. Ted Weiher's body was found inside the trailer. He was laid on the bed and covered with sheets. The cause of death was starvation and hypothermia. But the saddest detail was this: Ted didn't die right away. His beard had grown. He had lived there for weeks, perhaps 3 months. This is the most confusing part of this case. Inside the trailer was a propane gas, a fireplace, and matches for warmth. Outside was a year's supply of a military canned food, but none of it had been used. Ted Weiher froze and starved to death, surrounded by food and heat. Only a few cans had been opened. And these cans were opened with a special tool called P38, which only soldiers knew how to use. This indicated that Gary Mathias was there as well. The others, they were not so lucky. The remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found in the path of the trailer. They were torn apart by animals. Jack Huyett had only bones left, and Gary Mathias, a veteran with leadership qualities. His shoes were inside the trailer. Could he have been wearing Ted Weiher's shoes? What about him? Gary Mathias was never heard from again. His body may still be lying somewhere in that forest today. Only questions remain. Why did they turn onto that road? Why did they abandon the car? And most importantly, why didn't they use the facilities in the trailer? Theory 1. Fear. Have they had an argument with someone at the grocery store or on the street? Was someone following them? Could leaving the car running, turning off the lights, and running into the woods be a sign of mortal fear? Some locals claim to have seen a red pickup truck that night. Theory 2. Mental states and Mathias crisis. Gary Mathias hadn't taken his medication. Could he have had a psychotic episode under the cold and stress? Was it he who misled the group and did not allow the fire to be lit because it was forbidden? Perhaps the others, due to their training, were afraid of damaging someone else's property. Whatever the truth, the final hours of these 5 friends were spent in pure terror. They tried to help each other. They carried Ted Weiher to the trailer and put him to bed. They remained a team until the end. The Plumas Forest continued to keep their secrets. The story of the Yuba County Five will remain a tragic reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the brutality of nature. Stay Onyx Able.